to the Journey Mindfulness podcast. I'm your host, James O'Neill, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Jeff Cleckley to you, who has one of the just the most incredible stories that I've heard. And when I first heard it, I knew I wanted to have him on the show and to share his beautiful insights. So, Jeff, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you. I am honored to be here. Every interview I do, I'm honored to be here because of the mandate I was given during my near death experience to get this to as much of the world as I can. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jeff, why don't you start by telling what happened, how you came into the near death experience? What was what was that about?
So I like to start about 6 months before the near death experience happened, and basically, um, in my lifetime, I was a paratrooper and I used to jump out of planes, and I had a few parachuting accidents, which led me to be a disabled veteran, and so that's how I started this. This is how it started with the pain. It started with a
Mm,
lot of pain, and so I was giving some painkillers. I was put on painkillers, and well, it started when my back began to hurt around 6 months, or it was around December. The day that it happened, my back went out was exactly December 21st, 2012, and I was getting up to go, um, do some school shopping I mean, Christmas shopping for my children, and that day I stood up and my back just went out completely. Now, I had been dealing with back problems for years, and, uh, at this point, I couldn't walk, and I was in so much pain that, I had to get to the VA somehow, and I managed to get myself to the VA, and they prescribed these powerful painkillers,
mhm.
and I've been on these painkillers for, a few months from that December time, and now we're coming into January. Some crazy things happened that I put into perspective now. I my back goes out, and that same month, I contract pneumonia. So now I'm in all this pain with pneumonia. I get over the pneumonia, I contract MRSA. I go
Mm.
I get I'm put in the hospital for 7 days, and I this MRSA, it was ravaging my body, and I didn't understand MRSA back then. And, the doctors, they come to me and they put me on this IV for 7 days, and meanwhile, I'm on painkillers, my back's messed up, now I have MRSA, I just survived pneumonia. Um,
These are
and
all
it's
scary things.
crazy. Yeah, these are scary things, and it led me to believe that a lot of people tend to see when their life is ending, things start to happen. It led me to believe that because when I put it into perspective now, I say, man, this was leading up to something major, all these things happening. So now the doctor, he comes to my bedside after they put me on this medication, antibiotic, that's how they kill it, and sits on my bedside. He said, we gave you the strongest antibiotic we have. If this didn't work, we started with the lesser doses and they weren't working. And this last one, if this didn't work, people die from MRSA. That's exactly what he said to me. And he said, you may have expired if this thing wouldn't have worked. It was the strongest one we had. We don't have any more after this. So I survived that, and I come home, and now, I had to have surgery on my leg because not only did they give an antibiotic, it was so deep in my leg that they had to do surgery and cut it open and clean out the inside and get the rest of the infection.
Yeah.
So now I'm on these painkillers, and one day, it was April the 6th, 2013. Um, I'm in a I have a date, I was supposed to go out that night. I through all of this, I was still, I was separated from my wife and living single
Okay.
for a long time. So through all of this, I still wanted life, I wanted to do something. So I had a date, I was going out, and as I was getting ready, the pain was just more intense than it ever was, so I took two of the what was it, hydrocodone,
Uh-huh.
oxycodone, one of those. I took 2 of them, and as I'm getting ready, I'm not feeling the pain go away. So I took 2 more, and I didn't realize the time. So now I'm at 4, and I'm only supposed to take 2. And then
Okay.
I believe I got so high off of them, yet the pain wasn't gone. I forgot that I'd taken them, and I took 2 more.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm uh I start to feel, after I take the 2, some time goes by. It's probably 45 minutes from the time I took the first one until uh I started to feel, I mean, 3, probably in about 30 minutes I took the 3. And
Yeah.
45 minutes I start to feel the I start to feel this medicine doing bad things to me, and I begin to vomit profusely.
Mhm.
I begin to sweat profusely, and in my mind, I feel like, this is I got so much pain in my stomach, I'm losing consciousness, and I feel like I'm dying. You it seems like you tend to sense and feel when you're dying.
Yeah. Were
So,
you afraid at that point?
at that point, yeah, there was a lot going on. I could say at that very moment, I was afraid, but something about dying is you accept it, you know? You're
Yeah.
afraid, and you tend to, it's not a willingly accept it, but you see, this is how it's gonna end, you know? So,
Yeah.
so I lose consciousness, and then I'm looking at myself. I used briefly lose consciousness. The pain's so intense, I close my eyes, and then all of a sudden, I'm looking at myself on the bathroom floor. And
Mm.
I'm realizing, yeah, this is it, and as I'm looking at myself on the floor, then there's this tunnel opens up, and I'm whisked down this tunnel. And what I remember about this tunnel, I'm moving so fast, but I don't feel any wind. I don't feel any,
Uh-huh.
being a paratrooper jumping out of planes. I know what wind feels like when you're rushing through something. And
Yeah.
so I don't feel any wind, and I'm in this place, this tunnel, this light. I go to the light, and I'm in this place where um this place is it first of all, the feeling as I'm going through the tunnel, I begin to lose any connection with Earth, as I'm
Okay.
moving through, like all of my relationship connections,
Like
um,
emotional attachment?
emotional attachments, attachment to things, I lost 99.9%. I lost everything except for the thought of my son, who was 4 years old at the time,
Mhm.
so I arrive in this place, and immediately the overwhelming feeling of love and peace,
Yeah.
just it's overwhelming. It's like, um it's hard to describe for me. My dad, he's a very loving man. My father always has been, and the love that I felt there was even stronger than that. It was
So
stronger
just,
than
like,
that.
flooded with this tremendous
Yeah.
amount of love and
Yes.
peace.
Yes. Love and peace. And then, there's these beings there. There's 3 of them. One is it's a feminine being. When
Mhm.
people speak of God, they think masculine, feminine. I'm not telling anybody what God is, but I'm telling you what, my experience. And there was a
Yeah.
feminine feeling, and the other 2 beings were there, but they were more in an assisting role. They didn't really do anything at this time.
Not
The
the primary.
Right. The primary being began to walk with me through my life. Now, your whole life is flashed before you. So I'm looking at, I will call it something like a movie screen or a reflection, but you're in it. You're in the movie. You feel everything that you've inflicted on this world, good or bad. So, I
A
started to
life
feel,
life review.
yeah, it was a life review. And they reviewed my life, and I started to see, and even the being that was beside me, it was a mild chastisement, if you will. Am I talking too loud? Is this all right? Am I
No,
doing
you're
okay?
good.
Okay, it was a mild chastisement when I did something wrong, but it wasn't like you're condemned to hell in the grave, you're not condemned to hell in the fiery place. What you need to do is they referred to everything that I did wrong as the next time you do it this way.
Mm,
If you're in this situation again, do it this way. So it was
like
more
a
like
corrective
a
learning.
corrective learning, mild chastisement is what I'm calling it. Corrective learning. So in all the good things, when you did something good, you could feel it. You could feel it in your spirit. You felt that you did something good. You knew that you did something good. You can feel the person's feelings, the person that you did good for, and vice versa, the person that you harmed, you could feel their pain and how it rippled through their lives, you know. And the same with when you help somebody, how it rippled through their lives and how it helped them do something better for themselves in this lifetime. Now, as I'm going through this review, um, I'm still upset that I'm dead, that I'm gone, that, I have a 4-year-old son that I wanna raise, that needs me, and, I don't want him to traverse this world without his father, you know, and so this anger is building up, and it's more of a it's not it's like, "Alright, Imma deal with it." So, after the review, it was like, "What do you have to say for yourself?"
Wow,
And
okay, so you complete the review and then you
yeah.
got this emotion coming up. Okay.
Yeah, this emotion's coming up, and it's like, "What do you got to say for yourself?" And I don't know where it came from, but what I said, I remember the words. It says, how did it go? How did I say it? It says, "You," it says, "I don't know, you or whoever's running this thing." This is exactly how I said it. "You or whoever's running this thing, you sent me down there and you never showed me how to do it. Yet I stand before you and I get this chastisement that I'm doing it wrong, that I've done it wrong, and I've never been shown how to do it." And then I said, "The feeling that I feel right now is a wonderful feeling. So if I go with you," because basically at this time I should rewind. They had already shown me a feeling or shown me a state, made me feel like, or never spoke it, but shown me that I was about to reincarnate back into life
Mm.
as a baby and come and do it again. And that's what all of the next time you run into this, if you come into this situation again, that's why they were saying it. They weren't saying it because I was about to get sent back. It was only when I said, "If I go with you, fine, because this is the most wonderful feeling that I've ever felt in all my life. Um, Yet, if you teach me how to do it, send me back and teach me how to do it, I'll do it right."
So
And
you
w
interjected they were gonna have you go a different path and then
Yes,
you okay.
yes, yes.
Wow.
So if you send me back, teach me how to do it, I'll do it right. And with that, the whole scene changed. Now those 3 beings were in front of me, yet there was like a million beings of light that stood behind them off in the distance, which what I call the 3rd heaven, the heaven that everyone's trying to get into.
Okay.
And where I was at, now I call the 2nd heaven, which is I call it the land between the two lives, life here on earth and life in heaven. And so they began to impart something into my consciousness, into my brain, into my mind. And each of them, all of these beings of light were putting something into my head, and it got very overwhelming. And as I was about to speak to the main being that I was in contact with and tell them that this is too much, I can't handle it, she told me, "Don't worry about it. You'll understand it. You'll remember it when you get back." And that's when they began to speak. They already put in the feeling that I was going back. Now they began to tell me that, "You're going back, yet you have to teach this. You have to tell people about this because something is coming in the world to where the humanity is being guided or corralled into a way of thinking. Their free will is being taken away from them by corralling their choices to where they can only make two choices. Yet there's more choices that humanity can make. And with every choice we make, it takes us closer and deeper down the path of destruction because we're only given two choices and both of them are leading towards our destruction. We have many more choices in life than what our leaders and what our our authorities give us. And and so that was one of the things they made me understand. And then they told me that I needed to teach this to the world. I needed to put this out. And
So we're gonna send you back, but you have
Mhm.
this mission now.
Yeah, yeah. I have this thing that I should do. And and so they began to impart now as these many beings uncountable are putting this in my head, I'm still having this conversation with these three beings. And
Mhm.
now they're telling me, you know, they give me some powerful, they told me that they're going to give me these three things that my walk in life would be easy. And if I follow these three guidelines, my walk in life will be easy. And one was love everything, for I am everything. These were the words that were coming. Love everything, for I am everything. And I believe they were talking about the creator, the
Mhm.
universe, for I am everything. Fear nothing, because fear and doubt are the destroyer of mankind. And the last one was know that I am God, you know? And so with those things, they, they, uh, my departure was coming. They were sending me back. Hope I'm telling this
So
in
you
front
know
of
you're coming back at this
now. I
point.
know I'm coming back, and the what they were putting in my head, some of it I could comprehend in the beginning, and, there were prophecies, there were things to come that they were showing me. There was many things that they put in my head, the knowledge of how to connect with my higher self or whatever you wanna call that thing, God, they were putting all of this stuff in my head, and
Sounds like, people sometimes talk about when they're meditating getting downloads.
Mhm,
Sounds like you were
yes,
getting this just
it
massive
it
download.
was yeah, from nowadays, I understand it to be a massive download, and so all of this stuff is in my head, and then, you know, I go back through the tunnel, I wake up on the bathroom floor, and my stomach is the worst. It's like somebody was stabbing me with knives because I had thrown up so much that there was nothing left in there. I'd sweated more than I ever sweated in all my life, playing basketball, football, and all those sports growing up. Um,
Yeah.
it was the work is just sweating profusely and not even moving. And so I woke up in this puddle of sweat and vomit on the floor and
In pain in the
in
body.
pain. And I was I woke up and I couldn't believe what had just happened because that feeling was still with me. It was so overwhelming, that feeling of love, that I began to cry, you know? I began to
Mm.
cry and I began to say, "What just happened to me? I know what just happened to me." And and, uh, I began to cry and start I started trying to remember all the things that went on over there at that point. Being a military man, we had acute attention to detail,
Mhm.
in my job that I did. I had to have so I paid attention to a lot of things, like, I couldn't see my hands and my feet when I was over there. I couldn't see, my peripheral vision. There was nothing like your hands or arms or things that you see out of your peripheral vision. Those are things I remember. So
Yeah.
at this moment, I'm thinking, "What just happened?" And at that time, that began the quest to figure out what happened to me and what this mission that they put me on. And after that, I began to hear audible voices,
Oh,
a
okay.
audible voice in my head guiding me in the things that I needed to do. There's many things that I was shown, we're gonna go or I started April 6th and the voice that began to speak to me, and then I began to learn how to meditate because one, I wanted to reach that state again. That was the first and foremost thing on my mind.
You
That
got a
feeling,
taste.
yes, that feeling that I had, I wanted to feel that forever, all the time. And so I tried different things, I started to study about how do I touch that spirit, that spirituality? How do I do that again? So I looked into DMT, you
Mhm.
know. I was like, and here's the crazy thing. So once I started to do these things, I began to understand that whatever I ask for, I can have. You know, I began to understand that, and that the universe gives you what you ask for. So I started studying DMT. This is a crazy story. I started to study DMT, and I just looked up to the universe, God, whatever you call it, and I said, you know what? I want to experience DMT. DMT is it's an illegal drug here. It's a Schedule 2. I studied it, something like Schedule 2. It's even if you're caught with it, it's even worse than having heroin and cocaine.
They're
Or s
starting to be more open in certain
Yep.
states with it because it can open you up.
Yes, yes. I believe that because there's one state that allows a guy to have a church. I studied that. He has a church, and his church, serves DMT to the congregation. I forget what
Okay.
state that was. But at this time, it was very, that was the only guy that I heard of that, and I forget what state. But at this time, you couldn't find DMT where I'm at.
Yeah.
And so I asked the universe, and wouldn't you know, it was crazy because 2 weeks later, I get new neighbors, you know. I get some new neighbors and they come over and knock on the door. They bring me a housewarming gift. And I begin to tell them about, we start talking about everything in life. I never met these guys in my life. And we start talking about everything. But that was one of the things that this near death experience did. It opened me up to people and spirits and their inner being. And I could see good. I could see good people. I could see people who've done bad. I could look at them and feel like they've done something terrible in their lives in the
More,
past.
like, sensitive to
Yes,
energy
I
and
was super
intuition.
sensitive. Yes, super sensitive to energy. So this conversation with them, it led into my near death experience, and I could as a matter of fact, at that time, I couldn't stop talking about it, everybody I would run into, I'd talk about this near death experience. I couldn't stop because it was so overwhelming, and it changed my life so much in this short period of time, you know, from what I used to do and used to the way I used to think to then even. So we're
Yeah.
having this conversation about DMT and no, we're having this conversation about the afterlife and meditation, and it was crazy. It just one of them just came out and said, "You ever tried DMT?" And I said, "No, but just a couple weeks ago, I asked the universe, could I try it? And I would love to." He said, "You know what? We got some, and you can try it." That was amazing to me. It was just further solidifying my understanding of what's going on, just more edification for my growth. So I did
Did
do
you get
DMT.
back to that place, though, or what?
What DMT did was I didn't get back to that place. It felt artificial. And
Mhm.
yes, there are insights in the DMT. There was many insights and things like that. And I honestly believe that your mind has to be in a positive space in order to get positive from the DMT. And I was
Yeah.
definitely in a positive space, from what I had just experienced and realizing that death is just a passing and we never die, really, just the body passes. Um, I was in a very positive place at that time, and even now, you know, um, just always positive, always thinking to the positive, understanding now that the negative is here. This is what this physical realm is. There's two warring things that there's always an opposite,
Yeah.
in this realm. And so,
Polarity or contrast.
yes, yes. And so the DMT, it did a lot for wake opening me up to spirituality. Yes, it did. And so what after the DMT experience, I did it around 7 times, 7 times. And after those, I really felt like it it didn't take me to where I wanted to go. And so
Okay.
I had already started meditating, in them 2 weeks. So I began to get better at meditating. And always in my meditations, there was a voice guiding me. It was guiding me. And what I come to understand it now as I call it, in the beginning, I didn't know its name. I didn't know my guardian angel's name. And so I would say my higher self. That's what I was
Mhm.
calling it. And then at about it was April, it was around December now, coming up on another year, December 2023, I decided I wanted to know who is guiding me, because in this 6 months, I was helping so many people with the guidance of this higher self.
Oh, it
People
was giving you,
Yeah,
like,
people would
advice?
come to me. Yeah, people would come to me and ask me for something or ask me to help with something. I would go in the meditation. This higher self would tell me exactly what to do, and I would give them the advice, and they would go on and do something wonderful in their lives. It and so at this point, I wanted to know who this thing was that, and what I've come to understand, and I went deep into meditation. I never asked it its name. So one day I go and I asked, who is this that is guiding me, you know? And it said, I'm Metatron. And I don't know who Metatron is because I never heard of Metatron.
Yeah.
Raised in a Christian uh, background. We know of Michael, all of the archangels, all of
Yeah, different angels.
uh Gabrielle, Ariel, Michael, but I'd never heard of this Metatron, and it kinda scared me because I don't know who Metatron is. I
Yeah, I guess
remember
it almost sounds like a Transformer if you
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
sound like the bad guy from Transformers, and yeah, because that's my era, the bad guy from Transform So, I now after that, and it spoke about leading me, guiding me in all truth. It's it's my protector. Um
What is Metatron is it considered an archangel or an angel or
He's
how?
he what I where I found him at, it was in the Jewish, what was it? The Jewish Kabbalah, in the
Okay.
Jewish Kabbalah, the
It's in,
Archangel
like, the Jewish
Metatron is
tradition.
the Jewish tradition, yes. And
Okay.
and so hence when I looked at the Metatron cube, it does have this Star of David within it, you know, the Metatron cube. Yours, it's right behind you. I see it right over your shoulder.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I come to understand this being that guides me as Metatron. So, and he leads me in all truth. And I like to get to the good parts of
Yeah.
this story. So there's still things unfolding that I was taught, that I was told that was gonna happen. Like, I was told that I was gonna have to get this to the world, and I asked, "How will I get to this world to the world?" And then he told me a book. You're gonna write a book. And I'm like, "I don't know how to write a book. I'm not versed in that." These things don't even matter to this thing that we call God or the universe, whatever it is, because first I'll get to how this power was solidified in me. And it
Okay.
will go to, 3 years of teaching people. I used to hold masterminds at my house. I couldn't find anybody in my area that could remotely speak about this. So I found a couple people, and we started a group, and it started growing. And so I started helping people as this got out, my immediate family, my brothers, they believe me because we grew up together and we have a tight bond. So
Yeah.
one day, my brother calls me. I think it's around 2015 now. And my brother calls me, and I'm doing so many things in this. He calls me and he says, "Jeff, my son is in a coma. He went to school on Friday, and they were playing this game where they all just take medicine. They bring their parents medicine to school. and they
Mm.
pop. Now they live down in Virginia, close to Richmond, and, I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So we're 300 miles apart. And so I said, "I'll do what I can. I'll do what I can." His son's in a coma. It was a Friday. He called me. And
Mm.
on that Friday, I had so much going on that I forgot to go in the meditation on that Friday. Now it's Saturday night, and well, this is what my brother told me. He said, "Well," he said, "if they're going to pull the plug on Sunday, he's in a coma. They're going to pull the plug on Sunday." And so he's crying to me, and I'm like, I'll take care of it.
So he's
I
asking for your
Yeah,
help
he's
to, like,
asking for
intervene.
my help. Yes. And so Saturday night, I go into meditation and I meet up with Metatron. And I asked him, I said, "I need help with this. Is there anything we can do?" And he whisks me in the spirit, because all of this is done in the spirit. I call it the second heaven. This is a magical place, this second heaven. When you go into this meditation, it's like you can create anything you want there, and it will manifest here. And this is what I've come to understand. So he takes me to, I'll call it the place where children in comas go, because there was
Okay.
many children here. There were many children in comas. And I I love to speak this part and say that the spirit, the Christ spirit was there. Jesus Christ, whatever you want to call it, it was there, and he was taking care of the children in this place.
Mhm.
And I never spoke with that Christ spirit. I never interacted. I was whisked over to my nephew, and we had a conversation. And I said, "Your parents want you to come back. Everybody's missing you. Come back." And he looked at me and he said, I'll come back." But he said it in a way that made me feel, because in the spirit, you really can't lie in these things. He said it in a way that made me feel like he wasn't telling me, he wasn't forthcoming with. And I
Yeah.
said, "Look, I need you. You are going to do great things, because as this is happening, I'm being shown his life. I'm being shown his future if he comes back."
Oh, wow.
Metatron showing me his future, and I'm speaking to him saying, "Look, you're gonna help people. You're gonna do great things when you come back, in your life. You're gonna come back, and that your job will be to help people. You will help many people. This is what your calling is. This is what you're supposed to do." And, um I pretty much convinced him with that, and telling him that his sister and his brother, I mean, and his father and his stepmother are gonna smile when he opens his eyes, because he was saying that they're mad at him. And I said,
Mhm.
"No, they're only gonna be smiling when they open their eyes." And we talked a little more, and I convinced him to come back. He's like, "This is the best place I've ever been." And so when he was convincing that I when he convinced me that he was coming back, I said, "Okay." And he said, "I'm just gonna stay here a little while longer, because I love this feeling. This is the best feeling I ever had." And we laughed about that. And I said, "Yeah, it's really the best feeling you ever felt in the world." And with that, I came out of my meditation, and I immediately, now it's like 3 in the morning. And I immediately text my brother, and I tell him the whole conversation. Metatron told me back then to tell him, "Don't tell anybody. Tell your brother, don't tell anybody what this conversation's about." And here's the conversation. Texted it to him, and with that, I went to sleep.
Mhm.
I woke up at around 9, 10 in the morning on a Sunday to my brother saying, "Jeff," texting me, "Jeff, confirmation. Everything you said." His son woke up and said the same thing. That was some powerful stuff for me. That was my edification, because his son woke up and told the same story that I had texted him that night, and
Yeah.
his son does wake up out of the coma, and
That's
now,
the ultimate validation.
yeah, it was beautiful. And it made this stronger, a stronger bond. Now that was some powerful stuff, and that was probably the most powerful, but there was many things, like, when my back was out, I couldn't work. My unemployment had ran out, and I needed money, and I was laying once I was laying on the floor meditating in my living room floor, and I said, "Alright, I need some money," and I heard Metatron say, "Go to the casino." And I'm like, "I need $200 because I got this electric bill coming up." He said, "Go to the casino." Now, in the Christian religion, you wouldn't believe any angel would tell you to go gamble. But I
Yeah.
remember I remember Jesus telling, his disciples to go fishing when they needed some money, and there was a gold coin in the fish's mouth, so, you would think, and I was like, "Is this really you?" Because that's exactly what I said, it hit me
Yeah.
like that. "Is this really you?" And I said, "Give me a sign," you know?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is later on that day, I didn't have my car. I lost my car by this time, not working, no car payment, so later that day, I had an appointment at the VA that I was gonna borrow my dad's car, drive to the city to the appointment with the VA. And it was supposed to happen at noon, right? So I'm laying on the floor at 8 o'clock, visualizing my day and talking about this $200 I needed. He said,
Yeah.
"Go to the casino." I said, "Well, you know what? Make it so that make it make it real for me. Show me that you're saying this." And while I'm on the floor meditating on my back, my dad knocks on my door, and he's like, I'm like, "All right, Imma go to the casino. I'm getting out of this meditation." I got out of meditation, answered the door, and my dad said, "Jeff, you know, today I just decided I'm gonna give you the car early. So how about you just drive me back home right now, and you can have the car all morning?" And that
Okay.
was confirmation for me because I wasn't supposed to get the car till noon. I
Yeah.
I dropped my dad off, came home, got dressed for my appointment, drove to the casino, made the $200 in like that, and then went to my appointment in the city where the casino's at anyway. And those are things that many things like that have
So,
happened.
like, this synchronicity just opened up
Yes,
right away, like,
yes.
show me
Once
that this is true, and then it did
yes.
happen.
Once I needed 200 bucks and, there's not only just the money, but healings come too. Once I needed $200 and I was like, "Man, I need $200, da 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 da." And I'm walking and on the ground, it's $200 in 20s, just folded up, balled up in it. And I pick it up and I'm like, "I know it's from you because I asked for it." Somebody lost it, but it must have been for me. And that's the way I see things, when I ask for them, because there's a yin and a yang in in this realm here, that someone wins, someone loses. Sometimes it happens like that. Yet
Mhm.
I understand that abundance, this realm is full of abundance because the creator made it that way. And so when those things come to me, windfalls like that come to me, I just see it as the gift from the abundance of God or the creator.
Wow.
Um,
So your thoughts are very powerful.
yeah, our thoughts create our existence is what they taught me. You know, the thoughts, they create our existence. And what we have to do is there's a conversation in our minds, not that guardian angel that sits there, but there's another conversation. And this conversation will lead you down the wrong path if you listen to it. And it'll tell you what the circumstance is right now. And if you go by the circumstance that is right now and you believe the circumstance, then that's what's going to happen. But I've come up to many, we'll call it the 11th hour thing, that where I refused to believe the circumstance and it turned out in my favor in the 11th hour, so yeah, these are things that happen, and so I'll move a little forward as to,
Okay.
then and how this has worked for me, so I was told that I was going to write a book. And I'm like, "I don't know how to write a book, but if you say so, yeah, if you say so, Imma write a book."
Yeah.
And I focused on the book. I just focused on the book. I'd be meditating, not only did I focus on the book, Metatron would say, when you finish the book, that's when you'll see it all take off. Everything's, and it took me a long time to write the book. And I didn't personally sit down and scribe the book. What happened was more divine intervention. I could tell you that.
Okay.
Somehow, uh, I don't know if you've ever heard of the podcast, Jeff
Yeah.
Mara podcast. Well, he finds out about me. I don't know how he finds out about me, but he emails me. He says, I'd like you to come on my show, speak about your this thing. And so I agree. And I get on there and I speak about it. And, I'm just giving, the truth of what I experienced. And after that show, he's got like 500,000 subscribers. So
Yeah.
it was like after that show, I get a email, and it says, um, it's a publisher. And not only is he a publisher, but when he started publishing many years ago, he was told by the universe, God, that he should write a book for somebody for free. He should help somebody write a book for free. He said, I've been searching and I've been searching, and you're him. You're the guy. So now,
Really?
yes, you're the guy. And so now, not only was he going to give me all of the royalties and and uh and that, um I said, I I'm grateful for this. I said, just give me a day to meditate and ask Metatron what I should do. And he's like, oh, fine. So I go into meditation, and Metatron says, there's going to be money made off of this book, and there will be wealth. And if he's helping, he should get half. So he didn't want anything. So I go back and I tell him what Metatron tells me. And this is my publisher now. And he says, wow, nobody's ever offered me that. He said, I tell you what, we're going to get you an agent and a manager, and we're going all out with this. We're going full steam ahead. And that's how the book got written. We spent a year writing the book, you
Wow.
know, and, and, we spent a year writing the book, and the book debuted in February of last year. It debuted at number one in its genre, which we spoke into existence the whole time. Because in my meditations and prayer and my affirmations, that's what I spoke.
Mhm.
Number one, number one
S
book. So
so is the book is it would you say it's channeled or
the book the book so
is
my
it
publisher
your
my publisher, he liked the whole story. I thought I was just going to talk about my near death experience, but he
Uh-huh.
was fascinated with, he wanted to, from the beginning, with the beginning of my life, my military career, uh, how my spirituality developed even before I my near death experience. There's things in there like my father, he died at 6 and he was in a coma, and he died, and the doctors come out and told, it's in the book, told my grandmother, sorry, that's it. This was in the 50s. Sorry, he's done. This is all we could do for him. And my grandmother's best friend beat on him on the doctor's chest and made him get back in there and keep performing CPR. And they brought him back. And so, and my father at 6. So these things paralleled, they come full circle. So at 6, my father had this same experience that I
Wow.
was told all about by my great grandmother and my grandmother and my grandmother's friend when I was a little boy. He's had this experience. And so all of these things uh that my publisher heard about, he wanted to put in the book. So he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, your father had this experience. Oh, your mother was like, she was like she could see the other side too. Yes, your mother used to do things like that. She never quite grasped a hold of her gift. So most people in circles would call her crazy. But I knew she had the gift, and she opened me up to that side of spirituality way back, you know.
Okay.
So these things all went, my publisher wanted those in the book. He said, you
Yeah.
got to put these things in the book, and then we go through my military career. Then the day that I that it all happened. And then the teaching that I teach people how to, because I became a teacher on how to manifest these things, and that these gifts are not just exclusive to certain people. That's one of the things they showed me there, is that we all have these gifts. Like when I came back, I'm jumping around, but when I came back, it was heightened awareness about everything. I was communicating with bees, trees, like
Nature.
nature. Oh, I had this, oh man, this thing with nature that was just amazing. And even I realized trees move. Trees can literally move their branches down to touch you. You can't come to them with this "I'm better than you" attitude. You have to go to them with this, "We are in this together. And I know you're from the universe just like me." We're all created by this same thing. And so, yeah, I've got film of, me talking to the tree and demonstrating to my family that these things move and how the branch would move down and touch my head, you know.
So
And
you're interacting in the world in this
yeah,
whole new way.
yes, yes, it's just these things just I don't know how to explain it. The universe gave it to, we all have it. Most of us have just been it's been dumbed down by the society, the system we're in. You know, it doesn't afford us to reach into spirituality and see what this is about. A lot of people haven't even asked the question, who am I? Where did I come from yet?
Yeah.
On this earth.
Well, it sounds like what you're saying is that, you have this awareness of everything being interconnected.
Yes.
And
Yes.
going back to was it the first thing they said, like, love everything?
Love everything. Yes. Yes. Everything. Everything is connected. And so I give love to the world because I understand that's where the blessings are. The blessings are there. And there's this thing that I know I got to go back and stand before whatever you call that, God, the universe. I have to stand before it again. And if you've experienced it once and you remembered it, um, you understand that it's real. You're going to be back there, and that what you do here dictates where you're going when you get there. And
Mm.
I, and I understand, I believe there's more realms than just this earth, the second heaven, and the third heaven. There's more existences because I was shown many things. I was shown many, many, many things, beings. I was shown beings that
Yeah.
we don't see here on this in this plane, this realm we call earth.
Sure.
Um, and you would be scared of them when you saw them, but these were the most loving, adorable, and beautiful beings that you could come up against, you could ever meet or witness. I was shown, uh man, I was shown many things. I was shown where the light of love emanates from, the center of creation, where this light emanates and touches everything in existence on in our realm and other realms as well.
Mhm.
And we have this stream. I call it a cord that goes back to this light, and we're all attached to it. And some choose to sever that cord of their own free will. I don't understand it. And it's
Oh, like
basically,
separation versus
mhm,
unit.
yeah, they choose to go take the dark path on their own free will.
Oh,
you
okay.
know, and I was shown how to traverse the second heaven by Metatron, how to navigate through the second heaven, or basically meditate and to manifest what you want while you're in the meditative state. And he took me on many journeys. There are dark beings there. There's when they speak about you could bring something back, you always see in Hollywood and things, they go over and they bring something bad back, and this thing. There are bad things that you can bring back. And my number one thing that I tell everyone to never do is to play with a Ouija board,
Okay.
because they bring back the negative spirits.
So
These
we can
Ouija
open
boards,
up.
they connect to you, yeah. And You have to, when you go into this second heaven, this realm, the way I was told by Metatron is to um keep the light of love in your heart. They can't touch you, you know.
Okay.
Nothing can touch you if you got the light of love in your heart. And the light of love is it's just love. It's just love for everything. That thing they told me, love everything and fear nothing. And he showed me how these dark beings can't even come near you if you have love in your heart, because love is a light and darkness can't exist in light. So
Mm,
so when you're traversing this, keep the love in your heart, and they'll repel from you, you know. And what I was also shown is that visualization, your imagination is the most powerful thing you have, you know, in order to manifest what you want, manifest healing or whatever, is to, when you're in that state of deep transcendental meditation, you just visualize what you want here on earth. And it brings into to saying the being, I mean the saying, as above, so below. Whatever you ask for in heaven, you'll receive on earth. Jesus said that. And for me, that was a mystery unraveled, because I get it now. In heaven, when you're in that state, that meditative state, Christians will call it prayer, you know, uh, when you're in that state, whatever you ask in here, in that realm, it'll manifest in this realm. And I've watched it happen many, many times. You know, one of the things they showed me is that I would be speaking on stages around the world. And they showed me this 2013. You know, it's taken a while. And
oh,
yet,
that would be happening?
yeah, that it would be happening. I
Oh,
would
okay.
speak around the world. It's taken a while. I've spoken here in the United States, and I got my first, you know, just last month, my first all expenses paid trip to another country to speak, to be a guest speaker, you know. And
Mm.
these things are things that they showed me. And I said, you know, if so, then let them happen. And they said, okay, it's going to happen. We want you to visualize it. See yourself there. See yourself on stage speaking these words in another land, in other lands. And it's happening. Even those things are manifesting at this time, you know. It's
Yeah.
just many different things. And my biggest point that I want to make is, we all have this. I've been told, I've been shown that this isn't just for a select person, or, you know, a lot of teachings will say, you know, only the prophets, only the seers, only the no, we are all sent here with these gifts. And when we all wake up to them, that's when we'll see a better world happening, because we'll understand that we can bring these things into existence, um with with numbers, much faster, much more powerful.
So, like, I mean, it sounds like you're teaching the message is one of empowerment. If we
Mhm,
can visualize,
mhm.
love in our hearts and kind of projecting that out there, we can affect change and not be corralled toward destruction and all these negative things.
Exactly, yes. And you know, there was the a lot of times we haven't been able to even speak the words of this thing, this shot that we got, and that this lockdown we had. We weren't even allowed. We haven't even been allowed on social media to speak about,
Yeah,
to speak the
censored.
name of it. We've been censored, and that's one of the corralling features. Now, I was shown during this thing that was happening, I was shown exactly which way to go, and I was telling people which way to go. I warned 90% of my family didn't listen to me, and they all ended up with some type of ailment after this.
Yeah.
And we even lost a couple, you
Mm.
know? So so, um, yeah, so I was shown that. I was shown that this thing would come, and we would be given a choice, and that our choice, think we're making the right choice, because we're only given a couple choices. We're only given really one choice back then, you know?
Yeah.
And to not take that choice. And then in my dreams. I was getting these dreams during that time that the monster is not the monster that you think it is, you know? And so the way that I was shown in these dreams were that if you fear this monster, it's going to kill you. But if you don't fear this monster, it's docile. It just shrivels up and disappears. And so in the dreams, I'd be looking out the window, yelling at people, "Don't be afraid. I know it's scary." And they'd get scared, and the monster would just maul them up. And I'm like,
Yeah,
and I was shown that, you know, that the monster was that thing that they call that disease that they told us we all could get.
yeah,
And if you followed their protocol, the protocol could kill you. So
yeah, this cloak of fear and,
yeah, and the fear,
willingly going into that.
right. So that and it protected me and my immediate family, and had no fear of anything at that time anyway, because once you taste that thing called death, man, the fear of death is gone, it's gone. And so I had no fear, but I knew my family had fear of it, but I just had them. I told them, my household, trust me,
Yeah,
we've gone this far, trust me. And so I was shown those things, and I was shown there's things still to come that, we were leading up to. And I love that the world is awakening. That's all I can say. We were heading into a path of a spiral that we couldn't get out of. And I still believe it's coming, which I what I've been shown. Yet
okay,
yet we have a window to prepare. And when this window closes, there will be some things happening around the world worse than what we've already seen.
okay.
And yet, if you prepare, you will overcome it. And then the peace and prosperity is going to come.
And we can
The whole
prepare by
world.
being in our hearts.
And your heart, yes, yes. And anybody who meditates, definitely get in touch with that thing we call God, get in touch with that. But I was told personally to prepare, you know, um, food shortages, prepare for things like that. So many I'm a prepper. I'm a prepper, and
But
you're
not
one of
out of fear, though.
instead of fear, because if you look back in, there's some stuff in the Bible that I learned that, I think it was Joseph, and he prepared the king of Egypt for the famine that was to come. It was given
Okay,
to him divinely, and he stored up 7 years of food and grain for Egypt for when the famine came. So it wasn't a fear, it was just to prepare. Just
okay.
prepare and know that the one we walk with is gonna guide us if we hold on to that and believe. The universe will guide you in all truth, all righteousness, and your greatest, life here on earth if you trust and believe in it.
Metatron, to my understanding, Jeff, is, sort of in charge of something called the shift or ascension, like, he's kind of the I don't know if that's something you've heard about or
Yes,
any
yes,
but it sounds like you're kind of charged with the actual teaching that
yes. Yeah,
sharing that with others,
yes,
that's a big part of that.
yes, that there's a great awakening happening. Now, it seems as if when I first when this happened to me in 2013, there was an awakening, but it was small. It was small. And now I see it growing. It's trickled over into the mainstream. You have mainstream people speaking about manifesting, and things like that. And this thing was people didn't, and now we got a lot of people are meditating. They're using, the crystals and things like that. And there is a great awakening happening. And I was invited, like I was telling you overseas, I was invited to Carousel because they have this great awakening on their island happening. And
Mhm.
they asked me to speak. I'm asked to speak there among many other people from around the world and around Carousel as well,
Yeah.
to speak and speak at this great awakening. And I see it happening like that. in little pockets of the world where they're awakening back up to their where they've always been, where their ancestors were in connection with the Great Spirit, whatever they called it back then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's people like you that you come across as very authentic and trustworthy, and so
Well,
your story really resonates.
I appreciate that.
For sure, man. Like thank you for sharing it. And a lot of people will benefit by hearing you speak. And I look forward to
Mhm.
seeing you speak at a greater audience. That would be
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff, could you please tell us the name of your book?
My book it's called I Walk Amongst Gods.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the book, I Walk Amongst Gods by Jeff Cleckley. My publisher, he we talked about the cover and everything and the blue. The thing about the blue is that's what color Metatron is. He's this deep blue.
Oh,
And
really? I did
yeah,
not know that.
yeah. And blue became my favorite color after this because, you know, my favorite color before this was green. But since my near death experience, blue is my favorite color. My publisher, he figured I should put, my photo of me. That's me about to jump out of a plane back when I was in the service.
Oh,
So
okay. And
I'm
you were
on the tarmac.
82nd Airborne.
82nd Airborne Division, yeah. So
Wow.
so, yeah, this book, it's basically a a biography as well as, it has a lot of teachings in here. It's got a meditation, a verse where it takes you into meditation and how to get to those realms. Speaks about healing, how there's many people who I've touched and healed in my circle, and where I'm at, speaks about healing and things like that. And
Yeah.
teaches you how to get in touch with that thing we call God, you know.
Yeah, and I'll link to the book in the show notes, and also there's an audio version as well.
Yes, yes, my publisher had me do an audio. That was probably because I don't read aloud well, I should say. So it took me a while, but I got it right. And we got an audio with me as he said, uh these things are better done by the author. So he had me do the audio.
Well, I think, it's your story and also your energy. When
Yes,
you
yes,
say it, like it resonates. I think you clearly have like a high vibration, so
yes.
that
And
message will carry.
that's what I could feel when I was doing this audio. I could feel the power of Metatron and the universe behind me speaking these words. It's amazing. It was amazing for me.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I one time I got this Oracle deck, and it was it had angel cards,
Mhm.
and I was flipping through the deck, and I pulled Metatron.
Mm.
And so I was kinda spooked, and so I, like, shuffled them again, and then I pulled out Metatron again,
Oh,
and then I
wow,
got
wow,
even a little bit
wow,
more
wow.
nervous, so I shuffled it again,
Ah,
and I pulled out Metatron again, and
yeah,
I'm like, "You gotta be kidding
the
me."
universe is speaking to you. It's
Yeah,
speaking
when
to you.
you realize that, it
Yeah.
changes your worldview for sure.
Yeah. There's one thing I learned is that there are no coincidences. Everything
No.
is lined up for you, it's lined up in your life. If you see coincidences, realize that that's that thing we call God, the universe trying to tell you something. It's so you look deeper into it.
Well, you have a beautiful message, and, anything you would like to add to what you've shared today?
Oh man. I, only thing I could add is first I want to say thank you. Thank you for having me. And I can
You're
add is
welcome.
what I was told, and that was love everything, fear nothing, and know that there is something called God, creator, universe that created us all. And it is in charge. And yet it gives you the power to manifest whatever you want in your life. Good or bad, good or bad. It gives you the power to do that. Because I've seen people manifest the bad in their life. The alcoholic who doesn't want to stop, he's mad. The universe gives them that. It gives you the alcohol as much as you can drink,
Mhm.
but it's to your detriment. Or for your good, you asked it, it'll give you whatever you want for your good. And that's always, I always ask for my greater good with ease and grace. I always ask with ease and grace because you can ask for it in different ways and it'll give it to you the way you ask for it. So
Yeah.
I've learned the words that we speak are so powerful that, and even our language, um, it's been skewed to make us think that these words mean this and they really don't. We'll say a word that doesn't even mean what it means, you know. Like one of the words I took out of my vocabulary is good morning. You can never have a good morning because morning isn't good. And we've been taught to say those things. And words and vibration is the key. And the word morning and morning are the same vibration. So
Mm.
I don't use that word morning. I say great dawn, grand rising, but
Ah,
never good morning. And that's these are words, these are things that just things like that that I've learned. You have to use these words correctly, and we've been taught to use them wrong. It seems like by design.
mm,
So
interesting.
yeah, these just things like that. But if I leave you with anything, it's just love everything, fear nothing, and know that I am God, the I
Well,
am.
Jeff Cleckley, everyone, please check out his book, and, thank you, sir, for coming on and sharing your wonderful message.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in today and being with us. May you find joy, flow, and adventure on your journey. And if you got something from it, please like, share, and subscribe and or comment. It means a lot. Thank you.